सदाशिव समारंभां शंकराचार्य मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरु परम्पराम्। श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Fifty to 54.
Okay. बुद्धियुक्तो जहातीह उभय सुकृत दुष्कृते तस्माद् योगाय युज्यस्व योगः कर्मसु कौशलम् कर्मजं बुद्धियुक्ता हि फलं त्यक्त्वा sorry, well, I need another pair of glasses. फलं त्यक्त्वा मनीषिणः जन्मबन्धविनिर्मुक्ताः पदं गच्छन्त्यनामयन् यदा ते मोहकलिलं बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदं श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च श्रुतिविप्रतिपन्ना ते यदा स्थास्यति निश्चला समाधावचला बुद्धिः तदा योगमवाप्स्यसि।
54th verse also.
Okay. Arjun uvacha sthiraprajñस्य का भाषा समाधिस्तस्य केशव स्थितधि किं प्रभाषेत किं आसीत प्रजेत किम।
Thank you. So welcome everyone to another class on the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2. We are now seeing what has happened once a person abides in Karma Yoga. When someone resolves to follow Karma Yoga in life, at that time, what will be the effect of Karam Yoga on one's mind? What is the effect of pursuing karmas based on desires? We know that it is a life of stress and struggle and anticipation of some happiness. A person who chooses deliberately to wish to become more free from within, relaxed within, to be able to live a life without worries, anxieties, in a short run, immediate life, and to not be bound by the continuous cycle which seems to wake us up every day. There is something that wakes us up every day. That one suspects is the reason for any janma, many janma. We don't know. A person, when they want to find a solution, क्या तरीका हो सकता है? It is a very, very mature mind which will want to look into this. Shastra is not everybody's cup of tea. Shastra Vidya itself, Swami Chinmayananji used to say, is drinking tiger's milk. Not everyone can digest it. That means a person who comes to Shastra Vidya must already be a person who is a little more, I would call it, having a greater character in himself, herself, having a greater manifestation of even human fine qualities. Only such a person will get attracted to, will get fascinated by, will want to know, what is this Shastra really talking about? Especially when you are blessed to be born in a culture where the Shastra is within the framework of our language. However much we are lost with Sanskrit, but it is still available to us thanks to our dadis and nanis and everybody, that we have heard in our life things like this, like Shastra. So such a person gets curious and looks at Shastra to say, what is it that is going to give me a hope? What will it be that will, if I put my effort in that direction, that effort will not get wasted. If I put my effort anywhere in the world, it is so temporary. It lasts for a very short time. And most of the people, by the time old age comes, we may be content, but you feel life just went by. This countering it, those mature thinkers who get fascinated to inquire, to seek, what is that way? Shastra Bhagavad Gita here has already said, such people resort to Karam Yoga. This is your only starting point. For anybody who wants Adhyatmic steadfastness, गांठ बांधना पड़ता है इस बात को. Karam Yoga is your only recourse for internal growth. What is its advantage? He said the advantage is when your buddhi becomes anchored in the yoga, buddhi yoga, all the mala within oneself. What is the mala? Mala means impurity. Impurity is defined by something that becomes an obstacle to your thinking, something that works to disturb the mind. Something that disturbs the mind is called an obstacle. What disturbs the mind? Raga, Dvesha, Ahankar are the standard in which everything falls. These are called impurities. They have their own cycle. As in, you feel unfulfilled. Your Ahankar is making a self-conclusion, I am unhappy. Because of that self-conclusion, there is a seeking that starts. I want happiness. Because of I want happiness, I start looking within my purview what is there, what can give me fulfillment. It happens to be desires that tell me if I get this, I may be happy, I will become happy. All self-conclusions, all erroneous thinking, really speaking. But nobody thinks, so to the extent we don't think, we start following the desires. Those create further desires, further hopes, further wishes, anxieties, result-oriented, etc., etc. That is the mala, which keeps us bound to the cycle. When a person chooses, decides, vyavasayatmika buddhihi, must have. Those who have bhoga aishwarya buddhi, those who have a buddhi of I want to fulfill my desire and then I will be happy, those who have the bhoga vritti, thoughts of bhoga alone, their entire realm of discernment, thinking, viveka shakti is robbed away. The desires overpower. They just take over. And then they make the person restless. Who doesn't have vyavasayatmika buddhi, to them, samadhau na vidhiyate. Samadhi doesn't come. Samadhi used in 44th verse. Yoga vritti, yoga darshan, samadhi is a state of mind through yoga darshan, which is sustaining a certain kind of a thought-free state. A mind is quietened, subdued so much that a person sustains that as per practice. But it is subject to being broken. And the jiva identification, the sharir identification, the body identification re-establishes, and then the person starts doing whatever, conducts life, and then comes back to the state of samadhi, practice through meditation, deep meditation, starting with breath control and various ways that Ashtanga Yoga may say. Samadhi is its last step of progression through Ashtanga Yoga. Bhagavad Gita doesn't use that word samadhi. In samadhi, according to Bhagavad Gita, it is not a state which is coming and going. It is not a state which increases or decreases. It is not a state which will come with just mere practice. It is not a will-based state, but a state which when established, a person in whom this state is established, such a person is normal living life, walking, talking, breathing, doing actions, interacting, living externally seen by someone else, is living like everyone else, but this samadhi has come about because of the recognition of that tattvam, atma tattvam, and owned up. You recognize and you own it, and then you're established in it, in that identity. So it never leaves you, because it is always there. It's a permanent state of self-identification. That is called samadhi. This needs to be understood early, because through karam yoga that Bhagwan is telling Arjuna and telling everyone who wants freedom from limitation, limited life, sense of limitation. Through Karam Yoga, he said, your buddhi gets freed of moha kalilam, confusion. Kalilam, impurity. Your mental impurities are gone, reduced, virtually freed from, through Karam Yoga. And because of this, the buddhi crosses over as if, means it becomes clear, available, steadily available, into Atma Darshan, your own vision of who you are. And the confusion regarding yourself which brought about all the desires, that moha is destroyed. What is the confusion that brought about the desires? The confusion that I am not happy, I am this body, I need something, etc., for I am born, I am all those things. That confusion is destroyed. When your mind has become quietened of its raga, dvesha, ahankara, anxiousness, restlessness, etc., then through Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasana, through Atma Vidya, your buddhi crosses over this realm of self-identity and the crisis it creates every now and then. What is the self-crisis? I am this, therefore I should do this. I am that, therefore I should do that. All that crisis is gone. He says, therefore, then such a person, tada, then, gantasi, goes. Where? He goes into a kind of a nirvedam, means disinterest now. The mind is no longer attracted to, finds it fascinating, finds it interesting, to shrotavyasya shrutasya cha, to the entire realm what karma could have given. Vedas will give us all kinds of sakama karma. The worldly laukika world professions will give us all kinds of artha and kama pursuits and its options. a person who in those karmas did karam yoga, within those karmas adopted karam yoga, in time grows where gets disinterested in what is coming from karma, what can be got from karma, what can be received with karma, the karma sadhya sadhana phal nirvedam, not interested. Vairagyam is now established to the entire realm of sadhya sadhana vyapar, vyavhar. Then he said, such a person, Krishna seems to be glorifying. His buddhi remains achal in self-cognition, in self-knowledge. Samadhau achala buddhihi. 53rd verse. His buddhi then remains achal in samadhi. Which samadhi? I've just explained. A samadhi of self-recognition, not the samadhi of yoga. In this, the buddhi remains achala, nishchala. Nishchala and achala both basically mean the same, but two words are used because there are two kinds of impurities at the level of buddhi. There is sanshaya and there is viparyaya. Viparyaya means wrong understanding. Sanshaya is doubt. I have doubts and I may have wrong understandings of things, of reality. A person who has come to Jnana Yoga, through Karam Yoga, purified, has established in Atma Vidya, such a person now has the state of yoga. That state of yoga means an established state of Atma Drishti, Atma Vidya. This having said, I hope this path is clear. Starts all of us, jivas, individuals, has come to the point where now Atma Vidya is established. Arjuna seems to be asking now, not seems, is asking now. He's heard Krishna through Atma Vidya. He's heard Krishna through Karam Yoga. He's heard Krishna saying, be established in Yoga Buddhi. He's heard Krishna saying that you are under the influence of moh. You are under the influence of confusion, delusion, and you think yourself to be knowledgeable. In the 11th verse, Krishna had used two words, prajña vadamscha bhashase. O Arjuna, you are talking as if you're a very wise person, panditaha, but wise people do not grieve for the living and the ones who are to go, gone. You seem to be talking prajña, prajña, prajña. The word Bhagwan uses prajña. Vadan, bolte ho. Bhasha se, you are eloquent, you are talking like a wise person. Everyone in the Sampradaya is establishing Arjuna's question in 54th verse in the immediate context of 52 and 53. Having done Karam Yoga, your buddhi will be freed, Then you will have jignasa for who you are. Then you will seek Vedanta Shravanam. Then you will reflect on it. Through reflection, the sanshaya will be destroyed. Then you will contemplate on it. You will correct your wrong knowledge about yourself. Viparyaya jnanam will go. Your misconception about yourself will be dissolved. Then you will establish, and you are a wise person then. Completes the topic. Arjuna's mind, starting from 11th verse, Bhagwan said, you are talking like a wise person, but your lakshanas are not that of a wise person. Your lakshana is clearly showing that you are not wise because you are grieving. The lakshana of a wise person is they don't grieve over things that are a matter of fact. Life and death are a matter of fact. They don't grieve over it. So Arjuna, now the topic having got concluded from Krishna, the whole circle is established. The whole path is laid out. It's well-lit path. Buddhi is clear to a seeker. Where am I standing? What am I to do next? That karmas come from the state of desire and when done through karma yoga will give you chitta shuddhi, chitta shanti. Upadesha Sar, for all of you who remember or who know, verse 3, Ramana said the same thing. Ishwar arpitam. When a karma is done with Ishwara arpanam. Na ichchaya kritam. Not with sakam ichcha. Then what will happen? Chitta shodhakam. It will become a means for chitta shuddhi. And what will happen? Mukti sadhakam. It will become a sadhan for mukti. Having completed few verses now in between explaining karma, end 15th verse he says, Ramana says, Nashta manasa utkrishta yoginaha. He's a highly utkrishta, evolved, exalted yogi amongst all the seekers. He is an exalted seeker, a yogi. What Krishna just said, you will establish in yoga. Ramana says you will be an utkrishta yogi. You will be established in yoga. When? Nashta manasaha. When your mind has got destroyed. And we've explained it in great details. It's there on the YouTube also. The classes would be there. I'm sure they're numbered. I don't remember, but you can always look back. It doesn't literally mean the mind gets destroyed. What mind is destroyed? The impure mind is gone because ahankar is destroyed. Krityam asti kim. What is now left for this person to do? Swasthitam yataha. When he has come to his own sthiti, his own established in his own sthiti. When he has found his own sthiti back, where he is his permanent nature. What is his permanent nature? When he has rediscovered it, when he has re-established in it. Re-established, I'm saying, because you're always that. But because of our avidya, etc., we get involved in our ahankar and activities and we lose it. Therefore, the cycle of samsara starts. Therefore, the Shuddhi process has to take place. Exactly like a brass vessel. When it comes fresh from the office, from the shop, when you buy a fresh brass vessel or a silver vessel, what is it? Bright, shining. But after a few weeks, what happens to the vessel? It gets tarnished. It gets oxidized. And then what do you have to do? You have to remove the oxidation. There is a process to remove the oxidation. You have to apply the deoxidizing agent. Once you apply that, what is the deoxidizing agent doing? What is a silver doing on silver? What is a brasso doing on brasso? What is a pitambari powder doing on them? What are they doing? They are only removing the oxidation. They are cleaning it up. Chitta Shodhakam. Karam Yoga has done Chitta Shodhakam. Made you qualified to hear your own nature's details that Upanishads will give you. That 11th to 20th verse, 28th verse, Krishna has given. Allows you to absorb them, listen to them. You know, when a child sees a new thing and the eyes light up, they're so attracted to something new. Their eyes widen and there's a sparkle in the eyes. To one who has done Karam Yoga, even without Shravanam of Vedanta, for some anugraha of the previous Janma, if you have done Karam Yoga and you hear Atma Vidya, the eyes sparkle. There is this brightness inside suddenly, because now you know that is what is the missing link to your further growth. Karam Yoga is not ultimate. Karam Yoga is not taking you to the point of the last point. You know Karam Yoga was always an in-between step. But what was the final step? Till you hear some Upanishad, some portion of Atma Gyan, Atma Vidya, about Atma, then you know, yes, now this is it. So what really is happened here, if you see the connection, Krishna started by telling Arjuna that your samsari sthiti, and he is telling all of us, this samsari sthiti of ours is certainly not a wise expression of wisdom. Samsari sthiti of the mind is now impure mind. You need to do brasso technique, silvo technique, apply it. What is that brasso silvo technique? Karma Yoga. Then prajñavadamsha bhashase. Then the wise people, naturally, if you look at the whole scenario, Arjuna feels Krishna has been telling him, do your duty with the yoga buddhi, then this, then this, then this. What should be the question naturally to someone who's followed the thought flow? Can anyone point out?
When you've achieved this kind of a status, how do you act? How do you behave? How does your mind think? How do you react to things in life? And what are the changes that happen to you?
Exactly. So first, he would want to know, whoever has reached that state, because Arjun ko to Krishna ne keh diya, you have not reached. You are talking like an ignorant person, samsari, like everybody else. So you are not the wise one. So then Arjun wants to know, if I go through this process, and who has gone through this process that I can recognize? Kaun hai who has achieved that state? Can I recognize them? Is that state an expressionable state? Is it a recognizable state? Because if I can recognize it, then automatically there is association with such a state of person will help abide for me also, will help me in abiding also. So such a person, who is that person who has reached that abiding that state? Reached is a relative term. Who is abiding in that state? उसके लक्षण क्या हैं? उसके characteristics क्या हैं? वो कैसा है? If all my wisdom today, Arjuna thought he is a wise person. If all my knowledge today of the entire karma, papa, punya, dharma, I even know about Atma, I even know that life after death, I even know that, there is a punarapi jananam, there's so much knowledge. Dharma knowledge itself is very intricate. And I have knowledge. If this is not enough to qualify me wise, then he is in earnestness asking. It's not a flimsy question. It's not a light question. He is seriously wanting to know what is the contrast, because he cannot see the other side, the perspective from the other side. He cannot recognize the wise person. If I thought I am wise and Krishna is telling me I am not wise, and my delusion, my confusion, I thought is coming because of my good nature, because I am a thinker, and he said all the Kauravas are not even thinking and they are atatais, and if they do wrong, why should we do wrong? We know. If this all I know and I am still, that is why he was in confusion and conflict. And if you say this is not wisdom, then oh Krishna, tell me, who is the person समाधौ अचला जिसकी बुद्धि हो गई है, जिसको वो योग की स्थिति पा ली है, अवाप्स्यसि, who has attained that state of yoga, according to Ramana, whose mind has got destroyed and he has attained the state of yoga, ऐसा इंसान, who is this? Who is he? What is he? What is his description? And to ask that, Shankara says, and the Sampradaya would say, that the purpose of it is that what becomes through Karam Yoga and their stages of self-growth, the Purusharth that has gone for self-growth, what they have attained, which looks effortless to us. I gave you the example last time of a pianist. If they play, they are effortless because they've practiced so much. So who has done adequate practice? What is the practice? Mananam, nididhyasnam, self-correction. Who has gone through this practice? उनकी स्थिति क्या है? स्थितप्रज्ञस्य, स्थितप्रज्ञा वाले की का भाषा. What is his description? Samadhisthasya Keshava. When he is with that samadhi, Atma Vidya, when he is in recognition of Atma Vidya, O Keshav, how is he? Stitadhihi, uski buddhi jo sthit ho gayi hai, because Krishna said, buddhi achala. He attains the state of निश्चलत्वम. अब वो डावाडोल नहीं होती है. हमारी कैसे डावाडोल होती है? हमारी भटकती है. कैसे भटकती है? Can anybody, if you have understood and followed the classes, I think you should be able to mention this. हमारी बुद्धि कैसे भ्रष्ट है, या कैसे बिखरी है, या कैसे?
I think it's because of too many desires.
Because of too many desires and Shruti Vipratipanna. What does that mean? Correct?
It's always like that upadrava. The mind is always in that state.
Vritti vipratipanna. When you hear someone say, there's so much always in the world about, always has been, whether it's social media now or not, the world always have many matam. Matam means many opinions on what is good for you. Even Nachiketas has asked the same question to Yama. The world has so much knowledge about what is right, what is wrong, marne ke baad kya hota hai. There's so much vivad going on the planet. You tell me, Nishchay, with one resolve, what is the right knowledge? So what is Shruti Vipratipanna? When you hear somebody say Sakam karo, somebody say Ye mantra karo, someone will say Ye upasna karo, someone will say Krishna ka naam lo, someone will say Ram ka karo, someone will say Vrat rakho, someone will say kuch karne ki zarurat nahi hai, someone will say nahi, follow that religion, no, do this, do that. सुन के मन पर बुद्धि कहाँ जाती है? It gets fascinated, it gets attracted, and it wants to adopt. There is a real story, I believe, now of course 40-50 years ago must be. I heard it from our teachers, and this was actually there. He was a very serious, sincere sannyasi living in Rishikesh, and very sincere Vedantic student. And one time his guru went to his room, and in his room he saw there were so many idols, many Devi and Rama, Krishna, Shiva and Hanuman and Ganesh and whoever gave him, there was an idol there. So the guru asked him, he says, do you worship all of them? He says, have to, because now they are there, so I worship all of them. He says, how do you manage it? How do you manage to be, if you are, they would have some short session of meditation. So who do you do meditation on? That's the time this sannyasi fell on his guru's feet and he said, I can't tell you how upadravi my mind has become now. Because when I start meditating on Krishna, Shiva comes up in my mind. When I do Shiva, Rama comes up, etc., etc. So what has happened? My buddhi is completely confused, having heard so much about do this, you will get that. Do this, you can avoid that, etc., etc. And they're all Shruti. Shruti means two words. It has two meanings. Shruti is normally, as we do in our study, we always come to straight to the point of the text, the Vaidika text. Shruti, highest Praman, Upanishads. But Shruti by meaning, it's also just heard. So some say, do this upasana, do this meditation, go to vipassana, do this, do. You are running. You are running as in, you are, kisi ne kuch keh diya, so there is this jignasa, all in good intention. This jignasa, let me go do this, let me go do that, let me go do this. Maybe I'll get this from here, this from here. All this Shruti Vipratipanna. This is not going to help, as Krishna said before. It keeps the buddhi distracted. Samadhisthaha. When it gets established in Atma Vidya, Titadhihi, that's Titadhi, that buddhi, jo ab sthir ho gayi hai. Ab nahi bhagti hai. Very, very early, when you are in the beginning stages, trying to discover a path for yourself, and you say, okay, should I try this, should I try that? But once Karma Yoga has come in a person's life, Nirvedam, from all that is to be heard, all that you can hear, in the name of Shruti Adhyanam also, you have disinterest in, because now Buddhi Achala. such a person whose buddhi is nischal, kim prabhasheta, how is he described? How is he talked about? Kim asita, how does he sit? Vrajeta kim, how does he move about in the world? In other words, how does he conduct himself in the world? In a very short nutshell, once he is a jivan muktah, a samadhi, as said in the Gita, is a jivan muktah state, which means even when you are living in the world, with the world, the prajna, prajna, gnya, gyan, pragyan, prakrishta gyan, अच्छे से. Once your gyan about your own being is established, world doesn't touch it. Things and people don't affect it. Therefore, such a person moves about in the world and does what? He has no desires to fulfill. He has no work left. Ramana just said, he is kritakrityaha. He is accomplished. He is established. अब जीवन में अंदर से कुछ व्यापार करने की, चेष्टा करने की इच्छा ही नहीं है. बनती नहीं है, अपने लिए नहीं बनती. कोई इच्छा नहीं बनती. हम पे इच्छा है तो कर्म करने की इच्छा बनती है. जिसकी इच्छाएं नहीं है, and that he is going to come to as an answer itself, such a person, how does he conduct, how does he move in the world? The question, I think, should be very, very clear, because there is nothing great about the, nothing to explain much about the question, except that jivan mukt ke lakshan kya hai? How do you describe him, and how does he move? So that if I see abiding with such people also, I learn, I grow. As I said, what is his accomplished state? He said here, for all of us, sadhanani upadishyante. Upadesh hai ye as sadhana for us. And
it's easy to follow a role model. It's easy to follow a role.
Absolutely. It's easy to follow a role model when I recognize the role model. How do I recognize who's established in prajna? ये तो अंदर की स्थिति है. समाधि में बैठा हुआ को तो मैं कह सकती हूँ कि ये समाधि लगाई है इसने. पर जिसने योग की स्थिति पा ली है, and is not just, there's no external lakshan to it. How will I know? How does one recognize? Because once I recognize, then it becomes a means for me to abide. I am also seeing and learning and growing once I recognize that. Okay? So now Krishna starts the answer. What is the answer? Okay, Krishna Arpanamastu, because now Krishna is starting a very important portion. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Partha Manogatan Atman Yevatmana Tushtaha Sthita Prajñaḥ Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Partha Manogatan Atman Yevatmana Tushtaha Sthita Prajñaḥ Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Bhagavan answers. Prajahati Yada kaman. Kaman sarvan. Kaman means ichhaएं, कामनाएं. Sarvan, all, sab. Yada, when. Prajahati, gives up. Shankara says, parityajati, jahati, prajahati, prakarshena, completely gives up. Yada, yasmin kale, jab. Sarvan, samastan kaman. And what is kaman? Ichha bhedan, the different ichhas that we all have. Sab kisam ki ichha. No ichha is there in such a person. Prajahati yada. Yada is now a condition. Jab, when, means it is in time. When question always answers in time. ऐसी स्थिति होती है तब. कब होगी? He says, जब मन से मनोगतान, मनसी प्रविष्टान, हृदि प्रविष्टान. हृदि is antakaranam. From your heart is antakaranam. From your mind, manasi. What has entered your mind, what you entertain in your mind, what you entertain in your antakaranam, all of them, what goes on in your mind, all of it, prajahati, parityaga, sarva kama parityaga. And when that parityaga is done, परित्यागे, in that परित्याग, जब सब कामनाओं का परित्याग हो गया है, तब आत्मनि एव आत्मना तुष्टः. So the first condition is prajahati yada kaman sarvan manogatan. First condition. From the mind, what we entertain as desired people, to such a person, no such desires operate in the mind. What is the second condition? As a result of which what happens? He is tushtaha. He is tushtaha. He is tushti किसको कहते हैं? I think we did this word before. तुष्टः,
संतोष,
संतोष, संतुष्टि, संतोष को, complete fulfillment. मन में कभी भी नहीं आता, oh I lack this, oh I want this, oh I am etc. That doesn't come. Complete संतोष. सर्व काम परित्यागे. When this sarva kama parityaga has done, then he has tushti. Atmani eva tushtaha. Such a one, his prajna, sthita prajñaḥ, is called. He is called asthita prajña. इसकी प्रज्ञा अब हिलती नहीं है. इसकी प्रज्ञा अब स्थिर है. इसका ज्ञान, आत्मज्ञान अब संशय रहित है. Is freed of all self-doubts, is freed of all self-wrong understanding, is freed of all self-conclusive notions. Because there is a complete tushtihi, whatever, this is Shankara's additional point, whatever prarabdha matra is left which is keeping his sharir alive, sharira dharana nimitta sheshe, tushti karana abhavat, sharira dharana nimitta sheshe cha sati, because of whatever his sharira dharan ke liye, whatever functioning he does, just to sustain his body till his prarabdha is there, unmata pramatasya iva pravrittihi prapta iti ityataha uchyate. Iti ataha uchyate. He says he functions about as if unmataha. When you forget something and you move from one room to another, idhar tha, udhar tha, kidhar tha, aimlessly. Looking for it, of course, limited example. But when you just move about, say you've gone for a walk or you have a lot of time and you're just moving about aimlessly, or you've gone to some place with no purpose, you're just moving around aimlessly. Unmattaha, it's bad to translate like that, but like a madman. It's not like a madman, but there is no prayojan to his movement. He's a complete master of his own self. There is nothing defining his movement. There is nothing directing there's no desire, so there's nothing directing his movement. Atmani, very important. He's tushtaha, santushtaha, within himself. Apne aap ke andar. Not because of things that come and go. Our santushti is based on things that come and go. His santushti is freed of all conditions because all desires have been given up. Given up. Can you live a life of desire-free state?
As of now, no.
No. So how is this getting connected? It's a lakshana of sthiraprajñaḥ. In him, it's completely gone. So for a seeker, what does he do?
Questioning the desires that come up in the mind.
Very good. Question the desires that come up and follow only
which can lead to one's self-growth.
Which will lead to one's, encourage the desires that lead to self-growth. And that is why that question is, and this topic says, when you are desires, nishchayatmika ho gaya to do karam yog, that karam yog itself is now reducing your desires. Karam yoga itself is what is now the nivritti marg started, where you will be freed of all the desires. Yada, when you will get freed of them, then atmani eva atmana tushtaha. But in the initial stage, what Karam Yoga will do will give you relative freedom, because you are the one who is freeing yourself from acting out of the impulse of the fulfillment of your own desires, but you are acting for Karam Yoga, Ishwararpitam, and because of this, your ichhas are now beginning to get trimmed. But Karam Yoga itself, first you use your buddhi and trim your ichhas. Karam Yoga also further trims them, frees you from it. Is this portion clear?
Yes, Dipti.
Huh?
Hanji.
Yes, please, sir.
Because this is important. Otherwise, people mistake this verse very badly. If one mistakes it, misunderstands it rather, then it almost feels like there will be a person who will live without desire. without desire means being freed from its propulsion to get you to action for your fulfillment. But how will you free yourself from this force of desire already there in us? What is Karam Yoga placed as? What does Karam Yoga do? Karam Yoga is reducing that momentum first. आज हम हेल्पलेसली घूमते हैं अपनी इच्छाओं के हिसाब से. हमारी इच्छाएं हमें घुमाती हैं, हमारी इच्छाएं हमें ले जाती हैं सब जगह पे. हमारी इच्छाएं हमारे जिंदगी को डायरेक्शन देती है. हमारी इच्छाएं पूरी हो, उस पे हमारा आनंद या हमारा सुख या हमारा दुख सब उसी पर निर्भर है. इच्छा हमारी पूरी होनी चाहिए, देन हमें आनंद होगा. This person is who? Atmani, Atmana, Tushtaha. He is happy by himself, with himself. Atmana Tushtaha. Atmani, अपने आप से तुष्ट है अपने अंदर. That is why such people automatically enjoy solitude. You never have to tell them what is the difference between being lonely and being in solitude. They love solitude. Why? Because the entire company is here. It is not there. विचार अपने हैं, मन अपना है, सोच अपनी है, इच्छाएं अपनी हैं. The reveling in that and not सुख और दुख जो इनसे मिल रहे हैं अपने हैं. What is it with the outside world? They are just nimittas that erupt this within me. They are just incidental accidents in that sense. They are just incidental causes, not the real cause. So such a person, Atmani eva, Atmani eva, Pratyak Atma Swarupe eva. Pratyak Atma, your own Atman, your own self. Pratyak. You have to bring into the context of what Ramana has said as Atma. You're satisfied by yourself, content by yourself. That's Satchit Ananda Atma that is spoken of in the first part of chapter 2 by Krishna, Sankhya Yoga. That Sankhya Yoga is Pratyak Swarupa of oneself. Atmana Swain Eva, अपने आप से, बाह्य लाभ निरपेक्षः. It is independent of the gain that you get from the external world. Prapti from bahya labha. It is independent of the gain that you get, labh that you get from the external world. Bahya labha nirapeksha. There is no apeksha of it. Nirapeksha, freed of apeksha. You can't say no apeksha. He's got free of apeksha. What is apeksha? English term of apeksha would be what? Anyone? What would be the
expectation?
Expectation. Excellent. Nir apeksha would mean what? उसमें expectation आती नहीं है. क्यों नहीं आती? Now bring it to our level. When you are doing Karam Yoga, एक्सपेक्टेशन क्यों नहीं बनेगी? धीरे धीरे कैसे कम होगी एंड देन बननी बंद हो जाएगी?
फल की इच्छा नहीं.
एक्सेलेंट. क्योंकि तुम फल की इच्छा से उसको डिसॉल्व कर रहे हो, फल की इच्छा को त्याग रहे हो. कर्म योग में फल की इच्छा को त्याग रहे हो, एक्सपेक्टेशन को त्यागना सीख गए. फल को त्यागा तो एक्सपेक्टेशन को त्यागी. एंड क्योंकि एक्सपेक्टेशन को त्यागी, जब आप कर्म योग करते रहते हो वो निष्ठा बन जाती है, आदत बन जाती है. निरपेक्ष होके भी कर्म कर लेते हो. विदाउट एक्सपेक्टेशन भी कर्म होता है. क्यों होता है? बिकॉज ईश्वर अर्पितम न इच्छा कृतम नेच्छया कृतम. Remember this. Ishwar arpitam. Na ichchaya kritam. I'm not doing it for the sake of some ichha purti. And the entire karam yoga falls into place. Atmani eva atmana bahya labha nirapeksha tushtaha. Parmartha darshan amrita rasa labhena. Because that swatma darshan, atmani eva, that one has, is parmartha darshan, is amrita rasa, is of such high quality of anandam. It's a very small way of saying high quality of anandam. It is ananda swarupam. Compared to all the other kinds of anandam that we get bahya apeksha, from bahya apeksha. I am doing my karma because I have some apeksha of some phal which will come to me from the world वो बाह्य है. दुनिया से मैं एक्सपेक्ट कर रही हूं कि मुझे फुलफिल करेगी. मैं अपनी तरफ से कर रही हूं एंड दुनिया मुझे ये मिलेगा, ये आएगा, वो होगा, वो ऐसा होगा, वो वैसी, वो एक्सेप्ट. ऑल दैट बाह्य लाभ अपेक्षा इज आवर बॉन्डेज. थ्रू कर्म योग आई एम फ्रीइंग दैट अपेक्षा. And finally, the last step, Paramartha Darshan, Sthita Prajña कौन है? He is called a Sthita Prajña, जिसकी सब अपेक्षा चली गई है. जब मेरी सब अपेक्षा खत्म हो जाएगी, बाह्य अपेक्षा, और कब खत्म हो रही है? जब सब इच्छाओं का मैंने त्याग कर दिया है. जब मैं सब इच्छाओं का त्याग करके एस्टैब्लिश्ड हूं, जी रही हूं, सब इच्छाओं का त्याग करके जी रही हूं और अपने आप से आनंद में हूं क्योंकि मुझे कोई अपेक्षा नहीं है, कर रही हूं जो करना है. देन व्हाट? स्थित प्रज्ञः तत् उच्यते इज कॉल्ड स्थित प्रज्ञः. व्हाट इज द ऑपोजिट? अन्यस्मात् परमार्थ दर्शन अमृत लाभेन अन्यस्मात् अलम प्रत्ययवान, जिसकी सोच बहुत छोटी है. अदर देन स्थित प्रज्ञा, जो अपने इच्छाओं के लिए काम करता है. अलम प्रत्यय, बहुत छोटी छोटी सोच वाले, उसकी दृष्टि बहुत छोटी है. हु वर्क्स फॉर हिज ओन सेल्फ. आत्मा अनात्मा विवेकजा प्रज्ञा. स्थित प्रज्ञा इज वन हु इज गिवन अप the small drishti. So our drishti is alam pratyaya. He has given up all that. Sthita prajñaha. He is sthita prajña. Sthita pratisthata. जिसकी स्थिरता हो गई है, प्रतिष्ठिता, established. Because of what? Now this is the cause. Atma, anatma, viveka ja. Ja is birth. Brought about by. How is his prajna become? Not because of karam yoga. His prajna has not become established because of karam yoga. Karam yoga only brought the trimming of his mind, made his antakarnam prepared for the knowledge. Then the between steps that Shankara doesn't give, Ramana establishes all those steps in Upadeshasar. I'm sorry, Krishna is skipping and he's brought him straight to Sankhya Yoga. Then Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. आत्मा अनात्मा विवेक से जो प्रज्ञा एस्टैब्लिश हुई है. यस्य सह, he is called, this is स्थित प्रज्ञः is referring to the person. यस्य सह, It's a compound word, which is referring to a person. Such a person, Vidvan, he is called a Vidvan. Tada, then he is a Vidvan. Uchyate is called. Now you see verse 11. Can you connect now fully how the Prakarnam has completed? How the topic has completed? Prajñavadamsha bhashase. O Arjuna, you are talking like a wise person, but Panditaha, the wise people, do not grieve like this. And now, with the answer that Bhagavan has started, he says, such a one is called a wise person, whose knowledge has become, because of Atmanatma Viveka, not Dharma Buddhi, not Karma Yoga Buddhi, because of Atmanatma Viveka, such a person is Vidvan. He is a real knower. He is the one who has knowledge. He is a Jnani. And when that Atma and Atma Vivek has, I would say, pak gaya hai, it's matured. Anatma Drishti, sthir hai. What is Anatma Drishti? Can somebody say it in a nutshell? What is Anatma Drishti? Anatma.
Where you see everyone as
Ji, Akanksha?
where you see everyone as different.
Okay. अनात्मा दृष्टि जिसकी एस्टैब्लिश हो गई है, I mean to say, where he is able to conclude that this is anatma. I'm not asking what is anatma, where his drishti has got confirmed that what is anatma.
Where his relationship to his body mind is not there. He totally witnesses that body is a separate thing and he is a separate person altogether. There is something.
So, what would you call as anatma?
He thinks he's the body.
The one who thinks he's the body is avidya. We are talking in the context of sthiraprajñaḥ. Atma, anatma, vivek hai. Anatma vivek किसे कहते हैं? That should be the right question then. Anatma vivek क्या है?
That you're connected then to the body. If you are,
Okay. Maybe my question's not very clear. What is anatma vivek? Every time my buddhi or my man, antakaran, विचलित होता है, अस्थिर होता है, घबराता है, डिस्टर्ब होता है, a sadhak will be able to trace it back to I am this body, okay? That it is anatma. Excellent.
जो
ये
भी
तो सत्य है नहीं ना, ये तो मिथ्या है. Everything that is related to the world and the body, correct, all that is objectifiable. All of this jagat, this body, this man, this ahankar, this jiva drishti, this phala prapti, this loka prapti, swarga prapti, even jnana prapti. All of this actually is what? It is anatma. It is not satyam. What is atma? Satchidananda atma. What is atma?
there's something that is permanent, nitya.
Correct.
Which is
Avinashi, na asataha, tataha, drishtaha tu anya tattvadarshi. Anatma, Atma, Viveka, Ja means he's a now a tattvadarshi. What is tattvadarshi? He knows anatma as anatma. Yahan satya kuch nahi hai. It's like saying, if I give an example, it will get more clearer. I had a dream. In my dream, it was a very disturbing dream. I had a tiger chasing, etc., etc. You know that story. I had a tiger chasing and I was fearful and I was looking for some help. And to save myself, I climbed a tree. And in my tree, I didn't realize that the tree had a beehive. As the tiger was trying to reach me, I kept going to the edge of the tree. And as I kept going to the edge of the tree, I kicked the beehive. And I didn't realize the edge of the tree, the branch that I was hanging on to was a very fragile branch, and it was overlooking a river bed, and in the river bed there was a crocodile with a mouth open. A precarious situation that I find myself in. But then my hand is about to slip, and out of fear, the bees are stinging me. There's fear gripping me. My hands are trembling. The branch is about to break and I'm about to fall into the crocodile's mouth to be chewed for dinner. And phat, I wake up. What is the entire dream world to me when I wake up? Answer should be
Unreal.
in the context of the words I have used.
Anatma.
Correct. The entire dream world is anatma. Right or not? Is there any pith and substance there? Is there any reality to the entire experience of the dream? Is there any tattvam there? Is there anything solid there? Will it really keep me bound? Do I really have to suffer? Anybody answer that? Do I really have to suffer that precarious situation?
No.
That's the growth we need.
I don't need to suffer. That suffering that I'm having in the dream is what?
Unreal and
Anatma. That suffering is that situation is not real. That suffering is not real. It has come because of what now in the waking state make a parallel. In the waking state, a precarious situation, an emotion. Can I dismiss it as anatma today? To me, my suffering is real. That is why he said, if you are grieving, you are not a wise person, because to you, your suffering is real. Whereas in reality, every situation of the waking is as unreal as that in the dream. It is a momentary alive, as if. No situation here is permanent. We have done all that. Sat, Asat, Viveka. The whole of the Jagrata Avastha is Avivek. Asat. But why am I suffering? My cause that I am putting, Bahya. What is the word he used? Bahya Apeksha. Because Ichha Prapti. I have an Ichha Prapti. मिलेगी तो मुझे आनंद है, नहीं तो नहीं है ना, मैं दुखी हूं. That means my dukhi status or sukhi status is entirely dependent on bahya prapti. That means Atma Anatma Vivek is the only direct cause for sthiraprajñaḥ, for your prajna to be established. Is this clear? For prajna to be... Sorry?
Just one doubt, like when you're saying ki it's unreal, when we wake up from the dream, we can think it's anatma, it's not real. But when we see situations in life, when we get caught up, and after some time or some months, years, whatever, we are able to objectively see the situation and we can assess also, yeah, we could act that way, it would have been wiser. So, but during that time, at times we may not be able to take that wiser decision or that. So, for reality और अनरियल में जो practically अगर present situations में देखें, so what is that which restricts that mind that point of time? Is it like a lot of doership or it is a lot of result orientedness? So what is it which makes us like not to be able to objectively see a situation at that point of time?
Anyone can answer? Can anybody throw a light on it? Suggestion?
That's because I think we still have not gained that level of Atma Shuddhi. So we are still in that realm of practicing. We are still reaching those levels of practicing. And as we continue to practice, it gets better and better.
Correct?
That's what I feel.
That's right. That's right. Atma.
So you keep checking yourself. Every time you feel that it could have taken a different decision at that time, you review that thing and continue checking yourself.
That's right. That is a continuous process till knowledge establishes. What is happening? Why is a Viveka Shakti deluded? See the previous verse that we just finished. Moha Kalilam. Every verse, if you go look again and again, you'll find your answer there. Sorry, I should do the other one. What is Moha Kalilam?
Those are attachments.
So what did attachments and confusions? What did that time, that situation at that moment say it is today? Supposing it's a situation today. What is it that is clouding your thinking? Attachments is one thing. What else do you think is clouding it? All the vikars of the mind. It could be desire, it can be hope, it can be fear, it can be expectations, but desires, bottom line would be some desire or the other, and all of it is of course from avidya, no doubt about it. But immediate cause is what? There is some desire which is clouding as if my judgment, my rationality, my objectivity at that time. And those desires will have different expressions. It may be in the form of a fear, it can be in the form of... Everything will root down to some desire, which has overpowered my existing thinking capacity. Or my thinking is incorrect, moha, confusion. There is confusion in the very fundamental way I think. My values are confused. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
So when you review these again and again, and you do more and more Shravanam, you start realizing that, this is where you went wrong and this is where it should have been different. Slowly, those realizations keep coming.
Absolutely. Auto-correction, I call it auto-correction. Slowly
Yes,
we come
that's a
into the
good word.
auto-correction mode. It's like auto-correction keeps happening. But it will happen more More as in, it will happen directly with Karma Yoga.
Hello?
Because when there is Karma Yoga, automatically the ichhas are getting resolved. So the buddhi remains available. Remember, at one time we said there are 3 stages of the availability of your buddhi, and that is a mark of your growth. It's a characteristic of defining your growth yourself. Sometimes, most often, 99% of the times, our buddhi is available after the action we have done and the consequences come. Most often, then it comes into regret, and I wish I had done that, and I wish I could have done. And then we have to take self-help growth and we say, I have learned something. Maybe next time I'll be careful, and all that stuff. But it is the understanding, the right understanding comes after I completed the action. Better than that, as I keep growing with my awareness, with my application of the Karma Yoga, the buddhi starts becoming available during the action, which means I started my action, maybe started it wrongly with desires, and in between suddenly I realize I'm doing something incorrect. And I make a quick correction. And the final thing is, the best stage is where my buddhi is available before I step into action. So before a judgment is made, before a decision is made, my buddhi is now available to me. That means now I would call it in today's world, I have a healthy mind also. A mind which is healthy. In today's world, we don't have a healthy mind. It's all imbalanced. So, what is a healthy mind? A mind which is readily available to your present situation and can take an adequate decision. What needs to be done is cheerfully able to abide in it without hankering, without any of those things. That's a healthy mind. What does Karma Yoga give you?
One step that one can do in this thing, I find that you should not react, you should respond.
Correct. Absolutely. So he's going to come to this now very soon. How does sthiraprajñaḥ react, respond, whereas we react because of desires? A sthiraprajñaḥ has no desire, so he has no reaction. He responds as necessary. Okay? End the class here. Is this verse clear? So 2 lakshanas, what are they? One is just a question actually. Answer, description. What is the description of such a person? He has given up the desiring mechanism. There are no desires in him. And second is, he is by himself tushtaha. And where has it come from? Atma Anatma Viveka. And because he said Prajahati, so he says, what is a kind of Prajahati? Just complete the sentence. Tyakta Putra Vitta Lokaishnaha. This is a famous portion from Arjuna Upanishad. What does he give up? He gives up his desires for Putra Vitta Loka. Actually, in the Arjuna, this is very clearly defined as a karmi who works. We only have ends. In these 3, all our desires and their ends. The sadhya sadhana completes. Putra means for children, for progeny, for house, for home. Related to all of that, we do actions. Vitta is again to wealth, material assets, gains, again to sustain our worldly life. Lokaha, Putra and Vitta refer to all the ihaloka, this world gains, wants. Lokaha is paralokaha, So I may take to Vaidika karmas for my afterlife, a better afterlife. So all my actions, desire riddenness is centered in these three goals of life. Either I want something in this world, or my actions are centered to want something in another world later on in another life. All my actions are centered on these ends. He says, sthiraprajñaḥ is tyakta putra vitta lokaishnaha. Ishnaha means desires, ichha rakhna. Who is he? He's a sannyasi. Sannyasi means he is called the right sannyasi, not the one who changes clothes, but the one who from his mind has given up the desires. Tyakta putra vitta loka ishana. Ishana is plural, so ichha. He who doesn't have these three ichhas is a sannyasi. And who is he? Atma Ramaha. He ramta hai apne andar hi. He revels in himself. Atma Kridaha. He plays with himself. He is reveling and playing with his own self. Sthiraprajñaḥ iti arthaha. His prajna, Atma Vidya, is now sthit. So this verse tells us the contrast, shows us the disparity, shows us the distance between our own sthitaprajña state and our own jivatva state. The knowledge is for us, not about someone. So when I through Karam Yoga will grow, how will I know I have become a sthitaprajña? My desires would have gone, and I am Atma Ramaha, Atma Kridaha. I am sthiraprajñaḥ. No wavering of Atma Vidya. Okay, so we will end here this class. We can't hear you. You're on mute. Neetuji, you're on mute. Please hang up. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Sarve Santu Niramaya. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om swasti prajabhyah paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahisha. Go brahmanebhyah shubhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Kale varshatu parjanyah Prithvi sasya shalini deshoyam kshoparahitaha brahmana santu nirbhaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we will.
Priti ji, thank you very much. Pranam.